Today we're going to be moving into Chapter 8, which has to do with surface area and volume of 3D shapes. Okay, 3D shapes are shapes like a tissue box, things that you can actually like touch. It's actual objects. It's not just like a piece of paper, which would be like a 2D shape with something drawn on it. Okay, so our first lesson in 8.1 is going to have to deal with identifying 3D figures. Okay. The first part of this lesson is going to be some vocabulary and some parts of these 3D shapes. Okay, another word that we use when we talk about 3D shapes is solid. So a solid is a three-dimensional figure that encloses a space. Okay, so this is a three-dimensional figure that has some sort of space enclosed by all those sides. Okay. Now, next we're going to learn a very fancy word that you're not going to hear very often, but since it's in these definitions, I want to make sure that we understand what it is. So a polyhedron is a solid whose faces are all polygons. Okay, so this would be a polyhedron because all of its faces are rectangles, which are considered polygons. Okay, and we're only going to be dealing with solids that are polyhedrons. Okay, so all the faces are going to be polygons. Let's talk about what a face is. And I can't fit it in here, so I'm just going to write it above. A face is a flat surface of a polyhedron. So what's shaded here in red is considered a face. It's basically like all the sides, okay, is a face. Here in blue is an edge. An edge is the line segment where two faces intersect. So, for example, this blue line is where this face intersects and that bottom one. Okay, they intersect at this edge right here. Okay, another example. This right here would be an edge because it is where this face intersects this face. Okay, so an edge is like those lines that create that 3D shape. Okay. Last but not least, we have a vertex. And I'm going to write its plural form because sometimes you'll see this word and I just want you to make the connection that it's the same thing. It's just the plural form of it. Vertices. Okay, so vertex is a singular vertex. All right, a vertex is a point where three or more edges intersect. So it's like the corner. Okay, that's what a vertex is. But you might be asked to find the vertices, how many vertices there are of your 3D shape, and that's going to be the same thing as a vertex. I just wanted you to be familiar with what that word looks like as well. Okay, so we're going to do one example together, and then I want you to do one on your own. Okay, so here we have a 3D shape, a solid, and we want to know how many faces, edges, and vertices. If you feel confident enough to do this by yourself, you can already pause the video and try it on your own. And then just resume the video to check. All right. So faces. All right. I always do like kind of the opposites of each other. So we have a top and bottom. That's 1, 2. We have the left and right side. That's 3, 4. And then we have the front and back. That's 5, 6. So we have 6 faces. Now you don't have to make these tally marks. That's just something I do to make sure that I don't forget them. Then I just go back through and recheck it. So top, bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, for edges, one little trick I use is put little tick marks on each edge. Okay, remember the edges are the ones in blue. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then that one in the back would be 12. Okay, and those little tick marks just help me make sure which ones I've already done because we get to some higher numbers and you're not going to really remember, did I do this one yet or not? Or maybe that's just me. You know my memory. All right, last but not least, we want to do those vertices. Those vertices are those points in the shape. In here, they're kind of pointed out for us very nicely with those green dots. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My trick for this, in this one they already had the dots, but like in a shape like this, I would go through and put those dots in to know which ones I've counted for and which ones I haven't. Okay, now if you haven't already paused the video, I would like you to pause it in order to try the second one on your own. You will have to do this on your test for this chapter. All right, so if you are listening to me now, you should already have your faces, edges, and vertices numbers, and you were just checking them. All right, so let's do those vertices first since I already started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then don't forget about that back corner back there would be 6. Edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't forget about that last one back there. 9. Now I'm going to use a clean slate so I can count those faces. All right, I have a front and back. I have a left and right side, and I have a bottom. In this one, I do not have a top because it's that triangular shape. So I would have 5 faces. Okay. Again, you don't have to use that tally system. I just think it's helpful so that I don't forget where I'm at and which ones I've done or haven't done. All right. And that's it for the first part. So those are the parts of 3D shapes. Okay. And like I said, you will have to know those for your test. Next, we have to name 3D shapes, so the different types that we have. Okay. We in 6th grade are going to learn about prisms and pyramids. Okay, so a prism is a solid that has 2 parallel identical bases. The lateral faces, which are the sides, so look at this blue, that's what they're talking about, lateral faces, are parallelograms, but most likely they're going to end up being rectangles. Okay, because rectangles are parallelograms. So a prism has 2 bases. In this picture, we can see them in red. We have one in the front, one in the back, 2 bases. Okay, we have one lateral face on the right side, one lateral face on the left side, and one lateral face on the bottom. We have 3 lateral faces because our base is a triangle, and there's a lateral face that comes off of each side of that triangle. Okay. Now here is where it's super important to know this. The shape of the base tells the name of the prism. Okay, so the shape of this base is a triangle. So this would be a triangular prism. Okay. I want you to pause the video. Now I'm telling you these are prisms, so it's not that difficult. I want you to pause the video and I want you to name each of these prisms, then resume the video to check. Okay, so if you are listening to me now, you should already have named these 2 shapes and you are just using this video to check your answers. Here we have sides that are all rectangles. Okay, so that means that this could be our base, the front and back, the sides could be our base, the top and bottom could be our base. It doesn't really matter since they're all rectangles. This is a rectangular prism. Okay, and we're going to be doing surface area and volume of rectangular prisms as well as triangular prisms. We will not be doing surface area and volume of shapes like this though. Okay, that's just a little too tricky for us at this time. All right, so first of all, we have 2 bases that are this funky little shape. So we know that once we find the name of this shape, that's going to tell us what kind of prism it is. All the other sides are rectangles, which is why it is a prism. All right, so I'm going to count the sides to be able to figure out the name of the shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A shape with 5 sides is called a pentagon. So this is a pentagonal prism. Okay. All right, moving on. Our next type of shape that we are going to be finding surface area of, you will not find volume of this until you are in 7th or 8th grade, but we are going to talk about pyramids. Okay, a pyramid is a solid that has 1 base. So already we can tell the difference between a prism and a pyramid because a prism has 2 bases, and a pyramid only has 1. Okay, that's one difference. Another difference is that the lateral faces, those sides of a pyramid, are triangles. They're not rectangles. Okay, so every single side of a pyramid is a triangle. Okay. So that is something that is also different from prisms because the lateral faces in prisms are rectangles or parallelograms, and in pyramids they're triangles. Okay, but again, the shape of the base tells the name of the pyramid. So for example, this to me looks like a square. If we're never sure if it's a square or rectangle, you can always say rectangle because rectangles are squares. Unless it's labeled like 5 inches and 5 inches, then we know for a fact that that's a square pyramid. So for this example, we're going to say that that's 5 and that's 5, and this is a square pyramid. Okay, because the base is a square, the sides are triangles, which makes it a square pyramid. All right. These next three are also pyramids, and I want you to name the following pyramids. So I want you to pause the video, okay, and then resume to check your answers. All right, so if you are listening to me right now, you should already have names for these three shapes, or at least have taken a guess on what you think the name of these three shapes would be, and you are just here to check. This pyramid, our base is on the bottom, is a triangle, so this would be a triangular pyramid. Number two, our base is a square or rectangle. Since we aren't given dimensions, we're going to call it a rectangular pyramid. Because even though it looks like a square, it might be like 6 and 7 or 6 and 6.1, where it's super, super close, but it's not exactly a square. If we're not sure, always name it a rectangle. And then last but not least, we have our base over here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. A shape with 5 sides is called a pentagon. So this is called a pentagonal pyramid. Okay, now notice in these pyramids, all of the sides are triangles, as opposed to in prisms, all the sides are rectangles. Pyramids have one base, prisms have 2 bases. All right. Last thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to have you write a summary, and this is not optional. You do have to write the summary, and you're going to answer the question, what is the difference between a pyramid and a prism? Okay, you will need to show me this, your answer to this question. I will have sentence starters up on the board for you to help you out, but you'll need to show me the summary before you get your practice sheet for class today. Okay, what is the difference between a pyramid and a prism? All right. When you have that finished, just come show me or a teacher in the room, and we will check that for you.